Greetings, this is Brennan Mansa with the news updates, news bulletin, coming up in this edition. Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI to be laid to rest through a papal funeral mass. Pressure mounts on President Lazarus Chakwera to release a full report of an inquiry into the arrest of ACP Director General Martha Chizuma. Waka Waka Market Central Portrait defied Longwe State Council's order to temporarily close their businesses. And in news from elsewhere, car bombs kill at least 19 civilians in central Somalia. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. The Holy See's press office has announced that Pope Benedict XVI funeral mass on Thursday, the 5th of January, will be a papal funeral with a few changes to fit with the fact that he was not the reigning pope and has not left behind a seat vacant. According to the press office director Matteo Brun, the liturgical celebration will follow the model of a funeral service for a supreme pontiff, broadly based on a traditional papal funeral, and that it will have some new elements that give the rite its originality and some missing elements. We have a Catholic news agency report.
The press office states that there will not be final prayers offered by representatives of the Diocese of Rome and of the Eastern Catholic Churches, since those prayers are specific to the death of a reigning pope who is Bishop of the Diocese of Rome and is in communion with the leaders of the Eastern Rite Churches. Among other things, the program indicates that the first reading will be taken from the book of Isaiah 29, verse 16 to 19, in which the Lord states, "There will be a day when the deaf will hear the words of a scroll, and after gloom and darkness, the eyes of the blind will see. But the lowly will rejoice in the Lord even more, and the poorest exult in the Holy One of Israel." In comparison, the first reading at St. John Paul II's funeral mass was Peter's speech from the Acts of the Apostles 10, verse 34 to 43, which speaks of the apostles' mandate to preach and testify that everyone who believes in Christ will receive forgiveness of sins through his name. The second reading for the January 5th Mass is from the first letter of St. Peter, chapter 1, verse 3 to 9, which praises God's mercy, giving the faithful a new birth as his children and by raising Jesus Christ from the dead, so that we have a sure hope and the promise of eternal life in heaven. The only other notable changes are in the prayers of the faithful. They include petitions for Pope Emeritus Benedict, who has fallen asleep in the Lord. May the eternal shepherd receive him into his kingdom of light and peace, followed by a prayer for our Holy Father Pope Francis and for all the pastors of the Church. May they proclaim fearlessly in word and deed Christ's victory over evil and death. Pope Benedict had wished his funeral to be simple, Bruni had said, emphasizing it would be solemn but sober. Pope Francis will preside over the funeral mass in St. Peter's Square, and Cardinal Giovanni Battista Re, Dean of the College of Cardinals, will be the main celebrant at the altar.
That was Tandiwe Nzumara reading a Catholic news agency report. Following the release of a report of an inquiry to the arrest of Anti-Corruption Bureau Director General Martha Chizuma in December last year, Malawians have reacted, citing the report as half-baked. On Tuesday, the Commission of Inquiry, which President Lazarus Chakwera instituted to investigate into how Chizuma was arrested, delivered a report of its findings to the head of state for his consideration. But anger grew among most citizens as the report that was released to the public by the Secretary to the President and Cabinet, Corinne Zamba, was not complete, as some chapters were missing and that the inquiry missed its target. However, government has this evening bowed down to the pressure by releasing the full report, where we have more on the area concerns in this report, which is being read by Andrew Pound.
Others, the report has miserably failed to clearly establish who ordered the police to arrest Zuma as a criminal suspect and a threat to the public in the early hours of December 6, 2022. However, the report has largely highlighted weaknesses in the fight against corruption, with more fingers pointing at the ACB boss, citing her misconduct. Commentators think the inquiry was a deliberate ploy to fight Zuma over her January 2022 rigged audio conversation with a third party in which she lamented worsening corruption levels in the country and lack of support. Other experts have also questioned as to why the inquiry mainly focused on Kizuma's audio, an issue he says was dealt with a year ago when the president warned and forgave Kizuma. Malawi Law Society has also raised eyebrows on the absence of other chapters of the report, saying it leaves a lot to be desired. In a statement released earlier today, Malawi Law Society President Patrick Mpaka and Honorary Secretary Crispin Ngunde argue that Malawians deserve to know and do a fair evaluation of the findings and recommendations made. Through the statement, the Malawi Law Society has favored the President and members of the Commission to ensure their own public trust, transparency, and accountability. President Chakwera announced during his New Year's special address that he will make further orders and actions on the matter after scrutinizing the report.
Andrew Pound reading that report. Waka Waka market business operators have defied Lilongwe City Council's orders to temporarily close their market with effect from today, as an inspection by Luntha Television at the market has established the continuation of business at the site. One of the chairmen at the market, who opted for anonymity, argued that they were barely served with a notice of the temporary closure of the market, and considering that it is a wholesale market, they will continue with their operations until the Lilongwe City Council follows the right procedures. Anafe Puri has more in this report.
Barely a few hours the temporary closure of Waka Waka Market, business at the site continues as usual, defying Lilongwe City Council's orders to close the market with effect from today due to poor sanitation and hygiene, key accelerators of cholera in the country. Business operators at the market continue with their activities with no concern to the reason their market was closed. One of the chairmen at the market, who opted for anonymity, claims that Lilongwe City Council did not follow the right procedures to close the market, hence engaged with their councillor for the way forward. But the chairman pointed out that they will continue with their businesses until they complete their orders they have currently, since it is a wholesale market, and that they are saving transport costs for transporters. However, Mayor for Lilongwe City, His Worship Richard Banda, emphasized that they issued Waka Waka Market Management with a notice and will tomorrow send Malawi Defense Force MDF soldiers to vacate reluctant that the company is closed, but trucks were seen moving chickens and other products out of his premises for distribution. We tried to talk to the CEO of the company, but he refused an interview to back up the company's decision of continuing with its distribution. Meanwhile, one of the company's trucks has been intercepted in Mchinji for failing to abide by the council's orders. In his remarks, His Worship Richard Banda said due to the company's reluctance to close the premise and address sanitation issues, the council will take away their operation license by tomorrow.
So if they are operating illegally. So as I said, that our laws will take care of that, and we will also go there also for another enforcement. If they still continue, there's some other penalties that they are supposed to pay for that.
The council has since disclosed that it will on Saturday and Sunday close government's markets for disinfection, and businesses will resume on Monday while they continue to enforce sanitation measures. Reporting for Luntha News, this is Anafe Puri.
Still on cholera issues, Chief Preventive Health Office at Balaka District Hospital says it has put in place all measures necessary for controlling and preventing the cholera outbreak in the district schools and to continue to do so until the situation is under control. The Chief Preventive Health Officer, Blessings Chitsime, says so far they have intensified awareness through health surveillance assistants who are over the district in schools and have managed to distribute chlorine, which will be used to clean classrooms and toilets every morning before classes start. Chisime has also held organizations like Save the Children and Find Your Feet for supporting the hospital with the resources. He has, however, warned people to stop politicizing the disease and understand that it is deadly. He explains more to our reporter Rashida Matandika.
For Balaka District Council and on behalf of the Director of Health and Social Services and on capacity as the Chief Preventive Health Officer, let me warn and advise my fellow Malawians in the Balaka District and my fellow brothers and sisters in Malawi as a nation. Cholera is here and the cholera is affecting us. Cholera is one of the deadly outbreaks so far, and once affected a person, that person is the one to rush to the hospital or any nearby clinic for treatment. It takes a few hours, few days for that one to die. So cholera is real. Let's hold hands together to fight against the cholera outbreak that has affected people in Balaka and in Malawi.
Remember that you are watching our 7:30 news bulletin coming to you from our Bishop Navy Media Center in Area 2, Lilongwe, and you are with me, Bernard Mansa. Moving on, Center for Democracy and Economic Development Initiatives, CIDET, has demanded that President Lazarus Chakwera should provide affordable import program status report within the next 48 hours by explaining details on how funds from Parliament that were set aside for 2022-2023 have been spent. Speaking to Luntha television in an interview, CIDET Executive Director Sylvester Namiwa said that the means will only worsen food security in the country, especially for intended beneficiaries. In addition, Namiwa said that it does not need one to study economy to note that the country depends on a agro-based economy, and failure to provide fertilizer, as it has happened, is punishing the poor to hunger. We have more in this report by Priska Mashushu.
CIDET has observed that since the launch of AIP up to date, fertilizer that has been available and redeemed is from some development partners under the African Fertilizer and Agribusiness Partnership, ASAP. But until today, no farmer has benefited from 188 billion that was approved by the Parliament. It has also been indicated that the fertilizer donated from Russia is neither NPK nor urea, and an arrangement has been made with some African countries to exchange it with fertilizer that is compatible with Malawian soils. Hence, Malawians will have to wait a little longer for fertilizer, despite that the time is not on the side, as maize in the field is growing at a fast rate. CIDET Executive Director Sylvester Namiwa says if fertilizer will not be provided to farmers, it is feared that the food security will be negatively affected, as Malawi depend on agriculture.
What President Lazarus Chakwera is doing is waging war on the poor or the poorest. Malawi is said to be an agro-based economy because it entirely depends on agriculture. Now, any attempt to play around with the fertilizer availability as good as inviting hunger into the country. And obviously, this is going to hit hard the very poor or the poorest that were supposed to be the beneficiaries of IEP. According to our investigations, despite Parliament allocating 188 billion of taxpayers' funds, government is yet to buy fertilizer. The fertilizer you have heard of, the fertilizer you've seen around is from donors, including the donation we got from the Kingdom of Morocco. In fact, they are targeting only 1,040,000 farming families. That leaves almost 1,500 farming families hopeless.
SEEDAID has demanded that the government should take action, and failure to do so will lead to virtues at all offices of the district commissioners starting from January 9. For Luntha TV, this is Priska Mashushu.
Well, getting back to health issues, the Ministry of Health has called for concerted efforts from various ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, as well as non-governmental organizations in addressing issues of mental health, realizing that its causative agents cut across all sectors. The call has come realizing that the victims of floods suffer from post-traumatic stress emerging from experiences of loss of properties, lives of family members and fears of where to start from after the occurrences have subsided. The ministry's spokesperson, Adrian Chigumbe, has said this in an interview with Luntha Television, where he said all stakeholders are invited to provide psychosocial support to victims, while the ministry also tries to provide counseling. Well, we'll have more of the story in this report by Adnafe Puri.
As one way of emotionally supporting victims of natural disasters like floods, the Ministry of Health says is working collaboratively with the Ministry of Education in training health and nutrition teachers with skills on how they can help students who are traumatized by disasters. According to the spokesperson in the Ministry of Health, Adrian Chikumbe, the ministry is aware that natural disasters traumatize individuals, especially when they get displaced into temporary shelters, lose their loved ones and property, hence the need to work together with other sectors. Chikumbe said government, through the Ministry of Health, is doing all it can to provide mental health services to victims of natural disasters like floods and heavy winds, which the country has already started experiencing in this rainy season.
There are several clusters that providing support of various forms to these people. One of them is, of course, making sure that we are also talking to them, talking to the survivors of these disasters, that this is something that, just comes. Nobody chooses to be a victim. After talking to these people, we are able to have a lot of them understand that this is a situation that they can recover from.
Chikumbe further indicated that realizing this is the time people traumatized by floods easily give up, they are doing awareness campaigns in communities across the country on suicide prevention strategy with an aim of addressing suicide cases among victims and other individuals. Commenting on the matter, Director of Services at St. John of God Hospital, a service, Dr. Charles Masalanumwale, commended the ministry's effort, but said the ministry should consider training more health personnel in various districts with skills of mental health services to also cover the gap of staff shortages meant to provide mental health services in evacuation camps and those affected.
For a developing country like Malawi, we should maybe be emulating what other countries are doing by training what we call mental health first aid providers. Just like, we have community healthcare workers, we also ought to have staff or even volunteers that are trained at a very low level, but who can be in a position to provide first aid mental health support to people that are facing disasters. Sometimes it's also an issue of what we call multi-skilling. So like the very same health surveillance assistant that we have, we can train them on how they can provide basic mental health support.
As of 23rd of December 2022, disasters, mainly stormy rains, floods and lightning, have affected 24 district councils including Balaka, Lilongwe, Mangochi, among others. Cumulatively, 9,321 households, approximately 41,944 people have been affected, with death toll at 42. Reporting for Luntha News, this is Adnafe Puri.
Well, moving on to sports news, some football analysts in the country have advised the Football Association of Malawi FAM to use wisely the grant which the association is expected to receive from the World Football Governing Body, FIFA. According to a statement from FIFA, all its member associations, including FAM, are expected to get $8 million, which is about 8 billion Malawi kwacha, through the FIFA program over 4 years. We have more in this sports report by King Major Kamwendo.
Speaking to Luntha TV, one of the sports analysts in the country, Peter King Skyler, said it's good that FIFA has planned to give such amount of money to its member association. He said FIFA has already explained what the funding is all about, so it will be wise for FAM to use the money according to its intended purpose and ensure that the money is invested into grassroots football.
I would have loved that the majority of these funds should go right in the rural areas to identify and develop the young talents that we have. For example, if Malawi can have the national team under 10 and put these players together for the next 7 years, these players, my brother, will give a very heavy impact in Africa and in the world. We would be thinking of qualifying for World Cup finals in the next 10 years. We should be thinking of that.
Concurring with Kaira is football legend and former Flames captain Joseph Kamwendo, who has said the money has potential of making a strong foundation of Malawi's national teams. Kamwendo said it's sad that football in the country is not developing comparing to other countries who also have been receiving similar funding from FIFA. He said the money received has the capability of turning our national team to be a team that will be competing in different tournaments if it can be used to groom talents from grassroots and keep the talent together.
Yeah, I think I believe that this kind of money have been transferred throughout the years into farm accounts, and as I said already, that it's very unfortunate that most of us, we don't really know or see what this amount of money do in our country, but. As we said, as one of the regions in the country, I believe if we can transfer and put more energy into the grassroots sport, I believe if we can give ourselves targets to 6 to 5 years from now, I believe we can have a very strong national team that can go out there and compete.
According to FIFA, the funds to be given are meant to execute well-planned specific football projects and achieving long-term development objectives. Apart from funding its member association, the soccer mother body has also said it will be giving $5 million, which is about 5 billion kwacha, for each zonal or regional association to organize football competitions for men, women, and youth. For Luntha Television News in Lilongwe, this is King Major Kamwendo.
And finally, another news, the death toll from a double car bomb attack in the central Somali province of Hiran has increased to 19. Witnesses say people far away from the site of the blast were wounded by flying fragments and several houses were flattened. The district commissioner of Mahas town said his home and that of an MP were the targets. Reports indicate that the Islamist group Al-Shabaab is behind the attacks. The insurgents have stepped up attacks in recent months following an all-out offensive against them. Well, with that story, we have come to an end of our 7:30 news bulletin here on Luntha Television. But before we go, a recap of our main stories. Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI to be laid to rest through a papal funeral mass. Pressure mounts on President Lazarus Chakwera to release a full report of an inquiry into the arrest of ACP Director General Martha Chizuma. Waka Waka Market Central Portrait defied Lilongwe State Council's order to temporarily close their businesses. And in news from elsewhere, car bombs kill at least 19 civilians in central Somalia. That's all we had in this edition, but remember that cholera is real. Always for its preventive measures to be safe and also be interested to get its vaccine. This has been Brilliant Manza, it's goodbye from the Bishop Navy Media Center in Lilongwe.